Barred owl. The warping night air having brought the boom of an owl's voice into her darkened room would tell the wakened child that all she heard was an odd question from a forest bird, asking of us if rightly listened to, who cooks for you, and then, who cooks for you? Words, which can make our terrors bravely clear, can also thus domesticate a fear, and send a small child back to sleep at night, not listening for the sound of stealthy flight, or dreaming of some small thing in claw borne up to some dark branch and eaten raw.
Now I'm going to analyze the poem A Barred Owl by Richard Wilbur, and the first thing I recognized was the two meanings in the title. One being a barred owl is just a species of an owl with bands of color, and the second being that barred means to prevent something, and like how the parents are trying to prevent the child's fear of the owl. And just a couple more things that I saw was that the poem rhymed, and it's in a structure of A A B B C C, and I think the author does this to keep the reader interested. And I also saw the use of the pronoun we and her, and we would be the parents, or I guess whoever is trying to um, prevent the child from being fearful, and her would be obviously the daughter who is scared of the owl's voice. And then I also noticed a shift in between not only the two stanzas, but in between lines 1 and 3 when it says, the warping night air having brought the boom. And then it goes down, and on the third line it says, we tell the wakened child that all she heard was an odd question from a forest bird. And that's a huge shift because the first line is more dramatic and like more eerie, and then the third line is more innocent and like whimsical. And then another thing I noticed was on the last line of the first stanza when it says, who cooks for you, and then who cooks for you. I think that the first words of those two questions was alluding to the call of an owl, because who sounds like, like the noise that an owl makes. And then also I noticed that in the first stanza, the owl is friendly and nothing to be scared of, really. And then in the second stanza, the owl is like now kind of scary and like a predator like thing, which is all based on the words that the author used in the stanzas. Like in this one, just an odd question from a forest bird, like, nice, like friendly words. And then in this one, she uses words like domesticate and stealthy flight and born up. Born is one, and then eaten raw. So we use soapstone to analyze this poem, and to start off, the speaker of the poem would be the parent of the child, which is like back to when we said right here, the pronoun we is alluding to the parents, which doesn't necessarily have to be Wilbur, but I guess it could be. And the occasion is at night when a child becomes scared of something that she hears outside of her room. And the audience is whoever is in fear of the bird, which would be the child, obviously, because she's the one that's awakened and is scared. And then the purpose is to recognize the importance of word choice and the effect it has on the meaning behind what you say. So that's how you can see the difference in the two stanzas, because in this one, when the author uses more light and whimsical words, it makes the owl sound friendly, like there's nothing to be scared of. And in this one, when he uses more eerie, dramatic diction, then it makes the owl sound more like a predator. Like down here when it says eaten raw, and then up here it says cooks. which that's a big change because it shapes our opinion. That's how the author shapes our opinion of the owl. And then I would say that the tone of the poem would be somewhat comforting and somber, but also in parts of it like an eerie tone. Like when it says warping night and darkened room, that's the phrases that makes it more eerie, or stealthy flight and eaten raw. And then where phrases that make it seem more comforting is like when it says, "We tell the wakened child that all she heard was an odd question from a forest bird," and that makes the overall tone of the poem more comforting and innocent and somber.